Ari!
Adam!
How are we today?
Do you know what? I'm so great because the 2 dogs that we have adopted are
coming?
their way here. Yeah. They have to come from Romania. So they're coming quite a way. I think the last update we got, they were in Belgium. So there's a bus full of dogs that have been adopted and they all come together on yeah, it's really cute. But yeah, so they'll be here tomorrow, hopefully, or if not tomorrow, then either in the middle of the night or early Tuesday. So hopefully the next episode, if they're okay with us picking them up, I can show them. And I know I can show them in the video.
This is so exciting. How old are they? Do you know?
They're only 1 year. I don't know exactly when their birthday is, but I think when we get the information, then we'll find that out. Because someone had them as puppies, then asked the rescuer, her name's Alina. They asked if she could take them for her, and they're 2 sisters, so they're actually related. And then at first, I guess she said she couldn't take them just probably because she had too many dogs at that point or something. But then the person kind of kept persisting, and then she got them, and then they were technically adopted at one point, but the adopter backed out. Friedrich knows. Friedrich's you're talking about dogs.
He just showed up next to me. It was very scary.
He was I know something's happening. My cousins.
Yeah.
My cousins are coming. But yeah, they were supposed to be adopted by someone else months ago. And then that person pulled out last minute. So we were well, thank God, because they're definitely our dogs. So
no new brothers or sisters for Friedrich.
Doggy things. Well, Ari, this week we were in chapter 24 called Sectumsempra. What happens in this chapter? Because I didn't read it. I'm just kidding. We wouldn't know. Do you know what I mean? If you didn't read it on the day I was reading.
I was just oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I know. And that was crazy that he said that when he said that thing.
Wait, Draco did what? Oh, yeah, for sure.
You're oh my God, yeah, Dobby, crazy. And I'm no, Draco. You're oh, Draco.
That's what I meant.
Right. Sorry.
That's what I meant.
Okay, so you asked me what happens in this chapter. I didn't even answer that question.
Oh my God.
What? What happens in this chapter is you can literally cut out that whole bit and just act like I answered the question right after. 20 minutes pass and I'm so in this chapter, Harry has a confrontation with Draco. Is able to get into the room of requirement.
Yes, for a different reason.
Yes, and has a very very unfortunate timed detention with Snape. And last but not least, finally gets his shot at Ginny, I guess we should say.
Yeah.
Or takes a leap of faith. So the chapter opens with Harry telling Hermione and Ron about the night before with Dumbledore. He's telling them in charms the next day. These three, Hermione doesn't really need to pay attention because she's good. But Harry and Ron never pay attention in charms. I feel they're always talking about what happened the night before, or he's always filling them in charms. And
I just want everyone to know, I think I've said it before, charms would be my favorite class.
Oh yeah, it sounds like a great old time. And Fluid sounds like a super fun teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have a blast. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because she doesn't want to talk about, Jo doesn't want to talk about what's going on in charms, but she still kind of ends up doing it, in terms of what they're doing and things like that. So Harry's telling them everything. He's told them that Dumbledore has agreed that Harry can come with him to hunt Horcruxes. Ron's not really paying attention to what he's doing with his wand because he's so impressed that Harry's going to get to go with Dumbledore. So Hermione calls his attention to the fact that he's making it snow. Mm-hmm. And she puts her hand on his wrist, but then Lavender glares at her with red eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Hermione
red eyes because she's been crying.
She's been crying. You know, just women always crying. And Hermione lets go of his hand immediately. Ron's like, oh yeah, sorry. It looks like we all have terrible dandruff. And then brushes off Hermione's shoulder, to which Lavender bursts into tears. And then Ron kind of turns away from her guiltily and explains to Harry that they have broken up.
Yeah.
Or Lavender caught Ron and Hermione in the dormitory by themselves because she couldn't see Harry.
Right.
And then like yelled at Ron basically until she broke up with him. So Ron's like, well, it's great because I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to end it.
Great.
To which Hermione's like coward under her breath, but she also looks kind of amused at what's happening. Harry is observing this. So Hermione also mentions that Ginny and Dean split up last night as well. And Harry notices that Hermione is like really looking at him, like very intentionally.
Lot of breakups going on in the castle.
And then Harry's like, "Oh, what? Why? Do you know why they broke up?" And she's like, "Something dumb about him, like always trying to help her through the door, the portrait hole door." She didn't like that he was always trying to assist her. And then Hermione's like. Oh, Harry's like, oh, like, that's a shame. But inside, he's like all excited. And then Hermione's like, well, that's quite the dilemma for you now, Harry. And he's like, what do you mean? What? No, there's no dilemma. No. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And she's like, well, because the Quidditch team, obviously. And he's like, oh, right. The Quidditch team. That's what I was. Quidditch team. That's what I was worried about. And then they go back to the common room because they have a free period. Ron is all happy because he's broken up with Lavender. And then Hermione is also in a really good mood. But when I don't know who asks her, because no one ever asks Hermione anything about herself in this friendship group. No. But when she is asked why she's in a good mood, she just keeps saying like, oh, it's just a lovely day.
It's just really so nice, beautiful outside today. Wow, I love it. This is another chapter, by the way. I don't know if you're going to mention this, but this is another chapter where there's a big old time jump in the that just randomly dropped in the middle of the chapter.
Oh, I don't know if I caught that. I must have, I missed that when I was typing.
She literally out of nowhere is like, anyway, May blew by. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. Also, yeah, no, I missed that.
Can we talk about how long? Oh, we'll get to it. Oh Someone has been gone for a very long time and I don't think should be advancing to their next year of school.
No, I'm probably about to get to it. Yeah.
Yes.
So Katie Bell is back.
Yes.
Completely happy and healthy. Surrounded by her friends.
Yeah.
Her jubilant friends. Right away, Harry's like, Katie, hey, do you remember who gave you the necklace? Maybe, hopefully Draco, right? Draco. Mm-hmm. He gave it to you, right?
Yeah. Blonde guy.
And right away, she's like, I don't remember. I can't help you. I don't remember who gave it to me. All I remember is 2 weeks ago.
I remember. Oh, I'm so annoyed. Yeah, go ahead.
We're gonna get into it. So she's like, all I remember was going into the bathroom, and then the next memory is like 2 weeks ago in St. Mungo's. That's all I remember. So they're thinking that it is a girl or a woman. Hermione makes this point. She's like, well, if it was the girl's lavatory, then it was obviously like a girl or a woman. And Harry's like, or someone that looked like a girl. Remember, there's all this polyjuice potion just sitting around. And I'm like, that polyjuice potion was out for 1 day.
Yeah. Apparently it lasts forever.
When is the expiration date on the polyjuice potion?
I don't believe that they were making fresh polyjuice potion. We definitely know Crab and Goyle were not making fresh polyjuice potion. I don't think Draco was bothering enough to do it.
No. I don't understand why. I think we really are genuinely supposed to believe that the polyjuice potion that they've been using this entire time was from the one batch that Slughorn made.
Yeah.
And apparently it's almost May.
Yeah. So, well, you just put a bit of lemon in there and it keeps it fresh. Just a little squeeze of lemon juice.
A little squeeze of lemon, a little squeeze of lime.
Yeah. It's just weird that it's all here. Isn't it funny?
Isn't it all the things weird?
Isn't it? I mean, it's just interesting that all the things that have come to light, since like 2020, basically about her, or she's been vocal about. Yeah, she's
insisted everyone know about her.
Is like it is not part of this to varying degrees.
No, you can see there's like the breadcrumbs to the big old loaf that's gonna be dropped on us later.
Big old nasty moldy loaf of bread.
Oh my gosh.
So
speaking of potions, Harry's like, I'm gonna take Felix Felicis and try and get into that room of requirement again. And Hermione immediately is like, this is the dumbest idea you've ever had. No, that's not gonna work. You're just gonna waste the potion again. Like, you aren't gonna get into this room. So Ron suggests making some more Felix Felicis because it'd be nice to just have some of that lying around. He's like,
say this. Mm-hmm.
Let's just make some more of that. That's great. And then they open the prince's book, look at the recipe, and Harry's like, oh my gosh, this is so complicated. I'm sorry, what? Did you think it was going to be a little like cocktail drink, shake it up together, and then... This is Felix Felicis.
It's one part club soda, one part...
Yeah, literally.
one part bourbon.
Olive. Yeah, like it's just like, it takes 6 months.
Ari. Yeah. It takes 6 months.
Yeah.
It takes 6 months.
So how did Slughorn have it? Slughorn didn't even know he was coming back to Hogwarts.
That's what I'm saying.
Does he just make this?
It was boiling in the cauldron. It wasn't like, oh, and here's a vial of a Felix Felicis that I have. He had 4 cauldrons boiling of the 4 potions that they were supposed to deduce what they were.
I mean, it could be like a little, I don't mind the boiling because it could be like, he's letting it, heating it up. Yeah. Getting it back. Yeah. Getting it back to, a nice.
It's like when you make soup and then you freeze your soup and then you bring it back. Sure.
That didn't bother me that much. But I was like, how did he have this then? Because he did not even know. We're supposed to believe that and how actually polyjuice potion takes a long time too. Actually, if we're really thinking about this,
I think it takes a full moon cycle, didn't it?
Yeah, full moon cycle. Yeah, so at least a month.
Full moon cycle to like rest, I think it was. I think it was like it had to like simmer for a full moon cycle. I don't even think it was like...
Yeah. And we know that he was saying like he was already like bopping around.
He's already bopping around.
He was already bopping around in the summer.
Bopping.
So as he's flipping through the...
Also, sorry, I just want to say one thing. I want to say one thing about this.
Yeah.
Ron... You aren't going to be the one making Felix Felicis.
Oh, yeah.
You would be would be Hermione. Go make the Felix Felicis.
Hermione would not, with this book especially, she's not going to be doing anything out of the prince's book.
No.
Definitely not. So as he's flipping through the book, he sees the Sectumsempra spell again. And as we remember... It says Sectumsempra for enemies. Mm-hmm. That's what it says. So
this one I think I yelled about the levicorpus, how he was shocked at how it worked, even though it's just the words levitation and body in Latin. Or just corpse, really, which you could also realize is from
something with the body.
Sectumsempra, like I know what words she's pulling from for it, but it's not as clear. So I'm okay with him being surprised at what happens with the spell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So while everyone else is very happy to see Katie Bell back, Dean Thomas is not, because that means he will no longer be playing the position of chaser. The Gryffindor team is apparently doing very well now that the OG team is all back together again. So we've got Katie and Ron both back to full health and back on the team. Again, Katie has literally missed like essentially the whole second semester, especially if it's going to be May. So she came back in like April. This is April when she's back.
I think she's back. That's my guess, is it's like late April, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I guess they don't get out of school until the end of June, but still, it's like.
But she gets cursed in like.
It's like before
November.
Yeah. It's like before winter break.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. We don't know. Maybe she did have to come back and repeat a year. We don't know.
Maybe,
we're not at Hogwarts for this next year. So
it's true.
So yeah, they're doing very well. Ginny does not seem devastated by her breakup with Dean at all. On the contrary, she is like the life of the party at these Quidditch practices. She's doing impressions of both Harry and Ron. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's having a great time. Harry's loving this excuse to just stare at Ginny, apparently. I was like, oh my God. In the battle of Ginny or Ron is like raging in his head. But it's not stopping him from flirting with her and like having a great time chatting with her, walking back from practice with her. And he keeps trying to think of a way that he can get her on her own.
Yeah. He's watching her during practice so much that he gets hit with a bludger a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause he's just
not
like
attention.
He does debate asking Hermione for help, but he doesn't think that he could stand the satisfying look on her face. Me and Harry are so different. If I thought someone knew I liked someone, do you know how fast I would be like, okay, I like this person. You know I like this person, right? Like, I would just like, please help me. And be like, can you help me figure out, like, how do I talk to her? How do I talk to Ginny? Mm-hmm. How do I make this happen? I don't want Ron to be mad. I just would not be able to, like... Harry and me are so different. Truly, like,
we're very different people. I think over the course of the years we've been on this podcast, it is very apparent that we are not like Harry Potter at
all. So yeah, he's not confiding in Hermione, even though he kind of is like, you know, tempted to. There's this weird line though, Adam, did you catch this? Where he's like, however, he and Ron were definitely in agreement about one thing. She was too popular for her own good.
Yes, I noticed that line.
Not for her own good, for your fucking small little sensitive ego.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, no, she's living the life. This is great for her.
Yeah.
It's so weird to like, and again, this is where I'm like, this was written by a woman to be. It's like,
also weird because it's a coded way to be like, a lot of guys think she's hot.
Yes. Or like she's getting a lot of attention. And I'm like, okay.
But you would never have said that about the twins, who also got a lot of attention.
No, exactly. And also the whole, it's too popular for her own good. It's like, no, that for you, like, that has nothing to do for her. It's great.
There's an energy that, like, do you know when people like have teenage daughters and they'll say to their parents, like, I don't know, it's going to be tough. Like, just like insinuate that she's going to be, I don't know. And it's specifically about, I feel like, girls who maybe develop quicker or are just like naturally like prettier or whatever. There's always just this like,
oh, she's going to be a handful.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Can we not talk about women this way, guys?
Meanwhile, if it's like a boy, they're like, oh, what a ladies' man. Oh my gosh, what a heartbreaker. This is what I'm saying. Fuck gender roles. So yeah, no, I think Ginny is perfectly fine with how popular she is, actually. Harry is like desperately hoping that Ron will out of nowhere come to the realization that he'd love nothing more for Ginny and Harry to be together. He's also like constantly there, so Harry can't ever really get a moment alone with Ginny because he's constantly talking to Harry about like Quidditch stuff, and a lot of times it's like after their practices or whatever, so it's just hard for Harry to have some time alone with Ginny. But it's not just Ron that is very interested in this. Apparently the whole school is very invested in this match because it's like the Quidditch final for the school. So it's Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. Gryffindor has to beat Ravenclaw by 300 points. So they basically like need to get a bunch of goals before they catch the snitch. So there is this connection in Harry's mind between winning this match and then being able to like have Ron's blessing to be with Ginny.
And you're not going to have the answer to the question, so I really shouldn't even be asking it, but there is an entire paragraph of this book, this very long book, that is dedicated to explaining the amount of points that they need to win by in order to secure a place on the leaderboard for the final rankings of the 4 houses.
Yeah.
And if they beat Ravenclaw, but they beat Ravenclaw by less than 100 points, they are the lowest ranked team.
Yeah. How?
But they won. It means it might as well be written in Arabic. I do not understand this. It doesn't make any sense. But they won the other.
Yeah. How?
They would win the match, but they would be 4th on the leaderboard.
I don't know.
But they won.
A sports person, fill us in.
Somebody sporty Spice, please reach out.
Sporty Spice, let us know.
Is that Mel B or is that Mel C?
No, Mel C is Sporty Spice.
Sporty, yeah. Okay.
Mel B is scary.
Mel C. Oh, right.
Mel C, hit us up, girl.
Reach out, let us know. Because I don't get it. It entered my mind, and immediately, like, I was like, I'm never gonna understand
the mind.
It's like when someone, like 2 years ago, when NFTs were a thing, and people would try to explain what NFTs or Bitcoin was. I would just be like,
you were like,
and there's just no way to ever possibly know. Unfortunately, it's simply never gonna happen. It's like when I explained to my mom how to like connect her printer to her computer. Like, it's just she's never going to retain it. I might as well be talking to a wall. Mom, that's an example. I have not had to do that. I'm just giving an example of something that is an equal situation.
Basically, if everyone is happy because Gryffindor won the game, Ron will be happy and he'll be okay with Harry and Ginny potentially being a thing.
Yep.
So yeah, that's that on that. As the week goes on, Harry does keep trying the Room of Requirement, but just does not have any luck. One day he's walking down to dinner alone and then casually mentions like Ron rushed off into a bathroom to throw up. I was like, fun. It was so funny because earlier he was like, oh, but for some people, they're like walking around swaggering. And for others, they're like rushing off into a bathroom to vomit. And then like a couple minutes later, he's like, Ron rushed off into a toilet to vomit. I was like,
so weird.
Shouldn't you have just said that then? Like Ron, like, but others like Ron were having to rush. It was just a little weird that I was like, I think you just should have said it was him. So we knew he was one of the, I don't know. It was
Syntax.
Weird. Yeah, it was a little weird. So Harry's walking down to dinner alone because Ron went to puke and Hermione's doing something academic.
Went to puke.
Like, but really, it's like Ron's vomiting and Hermione's doing stuff with school. It's like, okay. He checks the Marauders map to see what's going on with Draco. And then he sees Draco in the bathroom with
Myrtle.
None other than moaning Myrtle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Have we always seen the ghosts on here?
I don't know. I had that question too, and I was like, has there ever been like, oh, nearly headless Nick was, floating?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. I think we have seen Peeves, haven't we? Peeves shows up on the map. But I didn't know if it was different with actual ghosts because Peeves is a poltergeist.
Right.
So I didn't know. But I just had that question that I was like, wait, have we seen like nearly headless Nick show up on the map before? I don't know.
Myrtle's on the map for sure. Maybe she, because she was a student, she just is like
yeah, there forever. Yeah.
Oh
my God, Adam? Can you imagine dying as a student and you never leave your high school?
I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but I'd kill myself.
I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Death would be kinder. Ugh. So Harry obviously makes a beeline straight for the bathroom to see what these two are chit-chatting about.
They're making out, okay, Harry? Like, leave it alone. Don't worry.
How would you make out with just cold all around your mouth? Yeah, just like I make out with like an ice cube. So he like cracks open the door just a little tiny bit so he can see. He's got like his little eye in there, and then he can hear what's going on.
I spy with my little eye.
My little eye. So watch, it was like he thought he like cracked the door, but really he was just like
bang.
So Myrtle is like trying to help Draco. He's basically having a panic attack. He's like, I can't do it. Like I'm failed. I can't do it. Whatever it is, we don't know. And then he says he'll kill me. We don't know who he is, but we can assume. We can
glean.
Yeah, we can make a guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much right after he says this, he like lets out like this big shudder and then looks up. Yeah. Sees Harry.
He does a gay gasp.
Wait. Like I'm just like, what? And then and then sees Harry. And then he immediately like whips around, tries to curse Harry. Harry tries to curse him. Or maybe I shouldn't say curse. He
gets a Levicorpusin.
Yeah. Harry does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I shouldn't say curse. They're trying to jinx each other more. Until it gets to the point they're like kind of like Harry gets the Levicorpus, but they're kind of just missing for the most part, missing each other. Yeah. Because he doesn't, obviously Draco is still able to like shoot jinxes at him, so he can't be fully Levicorpused. Does he fall down?
Who knows?
I can't remember. Anyway, basically Malfoy tries to Crucio Harry. So he tries to use an unforgivable curse on Harry.
Yeah.
And then Harry, kind of like running out of ideas, uses Sectumsempra. So immediately blood spurts from Draco's face and chest, like as if he was like literally cut by a sword.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just like falls to the ground and is like gasping for breath.
I just want to say one thing. One thing about this.
Yeah.
Harry in book 4 went up against Lord Voldemort. I don't know if you remember. He went up against Lord Voldemort. Lord Voldemort went in with an Avada Kedavra. Okay, famously the killing curse. And Harry retaliated with a quick Expelliarmus.
Yeah.
Okay, one of his favorite spells.
We did a whole bit on that we
did a whole bit on it.
Try anything.
I find it hard to believe that he is now like, I'm going to blind. I mean, listen, that's the point of Hermione's argument is like, you're just blindly trusting this book that you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But like, it's crazy that he's like, I'm going to go for a random spell that you don't even, it just says use on your enemies. It doesn't even say like, it could do, you don't know what it does. It's so bizarre to me.
And also, it's not like for self-defense or like something. It's like use on enemies.
He was like leading Dumbledore's army last year. Like, I don't he's just really buying into. He's an act first, think second person.
He is. Mm-hmm. If there's anything we know about Harry Potter,
there's one thing we know. That's what we know.
And also just very like Gryffindor vibes. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So Harry's like, no, like out loud. He's like, no, this is not what I meant to do. And he plunges through, is it like the water?
Yeah, because I think one of the spells hit a sink or something like that.
Oh, yes, that's what it was. The sink got blasted, yeah. So he's like down in the water trying to get to him. And again, he's like, no, I didn't. I don't know if he's like trying to, maybe it's just for himself, but I'm like, if he's trying to communicate with Draco, I don't think Draco can really like hear what he's saying. But it's very clear this is not what Harry wanted to happen. And obviously we joke about Harry a lot of the time, but we know that Harry wouldn't want to do this to anyone. Yeah. He's
probably not.
A very gentle person in that regard in terms of this kind of thing. So then Myrtle literally starts yelling out murder in the bathroom at the top of her lungs. The door bursts open.
It could have been.
What'd you say?
It could have been. If somebody
could have been. No, he could have died. If she didn't yell. Yeah. And like from his face and his chest. So like it's clearly very intense wounds.
And if there's anyone that I trust to know what murder looks like, it would be the girl who was. I'll say that.
She knows the signs.
Yeah.
Get her on your crime
Now wait a
shows.
damn minute. I've seen this before. Now wait a damn minute.
Get her on 48 Hours. Okay. Mm-hmm. Have Myrtle be a guest. What would you call it? Detective
expert. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Have Myrtle be the girl from like it's always the like the girl in the coroner's office in like all those shows and all those procedurals who's like the weird one.
Yeah. I was gonna say
have her just be that.
Because we're watching Agatha all along at the same time. The first episode where she's like kind of that like washed up detective character or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, give me Myrtle in that, but like as a ghost. So it's just Myrtle like coming into work again, being like, oh man, traffic was terrible. It's Myrtle. So the door bursts open after someone has obviously heard Myrtle screaming. The last person we would want to see in this moment. For Draco, it's great. But for Harry, not so much, because none other than Severus Snape swings the door open. And he already is looking livid. So I'm interested in like, how did he know? That has to be some indicator of he knew what he was going to find in there, right? I don't know why it would describe him as looking livid. I
think he just like is an angry looking person. I think he's just constantly not in a good mood. He was just mad
from the moment he woke up that day.
I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Well, then get your bed out of the corner so you can wake up on the other side. How about that, girl? How about a new turn over a new damn leaf?
Sleeping on the wrong side of the bed is the issue.
Oh my God.
Not being an incel.
Jesus.
So he like kneels down to where Draco is. He mutters an incantation that sounds like almost like a song, Harry observes. And is kind of like, moving his wand over Malfoy's wounds. They knit back together. And Harry is just like watching, completely like horrified by what he just did without meaning to. Snape helps Malfoy up and is like, okay, we're going to take you to the hospital wing. It's crazy that Draco is just like walking.
Yeah.
He says there may be some scarring. So even though he has like helped heal the cuts, it seems like there is some type of like curse on the body from this spell, you know, that they won't ever fully heal. I don't know. And then he isn't Snape. Snape tells Harry to wait for him there. So Harry just stands in silence as Myrtle is like just bawling her eyes out, basically. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it was scary what happened, but like it says that she's like,
let's calm down.
And she's like, it says Harry knows she's like enjoying herself.
Yeah.
So she's like, it's like when a toddler like cries, but they're not really. So they're like, like that. It's like that's what she's doing. Because he's gonna live. We know he's gonna live. So it's been confirmed.
Do you ever think about how crazy it is? And this is, I'm not trying to be annoying.
I don't know what you're gonna say.
But do you ever think about how crazy it is that this is like the one character that is murdered at Hogwarts prior to book 7, and the way everyone treats her is that she's just like annoying and wants attention. It's so crazy.
And she's literally a schoolgirl, like stuck in school forever.
I want to be so clear. If I was murdered at school, okay, and I was then forced to be a ghost for all of eternity at said school, I would be more obnoxious than this.
Yeah. I would be going all out.
I would be ready to ruin people's lives. Do you understand what I'm saying now?
Well, remember, she does talk about that's why she became a ghost, to bully her bully.
Her bully, and then she was like, "Well, that's done."
Yeah,
because the ministry like was like, "All right, you have to stop."
Yeah. The ministry was like, "You got to go back." Oh, it's just crazy. Yeah, I don't know why she's still at the school.
What do you think? Oh, what do you think the Bloody Baron thinks about Moaning Myrtle?
I would love to know what like all the ghosts think about like the other ghosts.
You know well, because Myrtle was a Ravenclaw famously, so I wonder if like has she had conversations with the Grey Lady? Has she been like woman to woman?
The Grey Lady has to be like, oh, sorry.
I'm so
go to the Fat Friar about that.
I'm sorry. I'm getting a call. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
from the ghost world.
Sorry. Hey. No, I'm free. No, I'm sorry.
I think
I'll see you.
The only one that like entertains her has to be like the Fat Friar.
I think he'd be fun to hang out with. He seems like a great time.
Well, he's a Hufflepuff.
Sure.
The only thing I don't necessarily agree with the Fat Friar about is the whole. I'm going to just call him the Friar. The Friar. Okay. the Friar. I just know that she's using fat as like a bad word, and so I don't want to continue that because it's fine to be fat. The Friar is like it's the same thing with the Fat Lady. They've got the Fat Friar
and the Fat Lady.
It is the Fat Friar, right? Am I making that?
Yeah. No, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
I fully thought for half a second that I was calling him the Fat Friar, and that wasn't his name, and got worried.
No, it's crazy. She called him the Friar for so many books, and you just read it as fat. That's crazy, Ari.
Can you imagine? I think the Friar probably entertains Myrtle a bit. The only thing I don't necessarily agree with on the Fat Friar is that Peeves should have like full reign of the school, because that was the whole thing of like the Bloody Baron. It's like, no, we need to like try and control Peeves a bit more. And the Fat Friar is like, let him, whatever.
What are we gonna do? Who cares?
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think Peeves should be able to go into the boys' dormitory while they're sleeping. Hot take.
No. Hot take. Anyway, the hottest of takes.
I'll never forget that. I was like, I'm sorry, he can just go into their room and like blow in their ear.
I also feel like there's other ghosts that we're just not meeting at this school. Do you know what I mean?
Just hang out there, but like don't interact with the students ghosts. At all. One for every house.
One
then
for every
Myrtle
house plus Myrtle.
And Peeves.
Yeah, well,
wait, no.
Yeah, Peeves is
so then more than 5, right? 7?
It's fine. That's 6. 4 houses, Myrtle and Peeves.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
I wasn't counting Peeves as a ghost, but yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, then, yeah, if he's a poltergeist, maybe.
I think there's more. I think there's more ghosts. I think she's hanging out with people.
That's so funny, though, the thought of like there's ghosts at Hogwarts that are just hiding from the students at all times. Like they're just
always just invisible.
Yeah.
Hey.
Just like waiting until all the students are like in bed to like come out around the school. That'd be kind of fun, though, because they'd be like, are they all asleep? Woo! And like just running around.
One of the times Harry got out of bed, he should have been like a ghost he'd never seen before. He was in the hallway and was like,
yeah.
They just stared at each other.
And then the ghost was like, he runs away, yeah. Or like ran into the wall. It was just like, ah.
That's so funny.
Oh, that'd be so cute. So moaning Myrtle is moaning. Harry, as soon as Snape comes back in, from taking Malfoy to the dormitory.
Yes, the hospital dormitory.
Harry like immediately says, he's like, I didn't know that would happen. I didn't know what that spell did. And Snape is like, well, apparently I underestimated you. I had no idea that you knew such dark, evil, harmful, violent magic. And then Snape basically just occlumences the image of the book out of Harry's mind, because at first when he's like, where did you learn that spell? Harry's like, oh, I read it in a book, which isn't a lie.
Not a lie.
And then Snape's like, I think calls him a liar. But I'm like, but it's not. He did read it
in a book.
And so then he occlumences the image of the potions book. And Snape's like, bring your book bag and all of your school books.
All your textbooks.
Here.
All of them, girly.
Go get all of them, bring them right here. So Harry goes to the common room?
The Gryffindor, yeah.
Gets all his books, but asks
By the way,
Ron's...
still covered in blood. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, no, wait. I did make that note.
Fully covered in blood.
So Harry goes to get the books, but he just runs through the corridor covered in blood, and everyone is either staring at him or like trying to ask him questions, and he just like doesn't answer anyone. I'm like, there would be especially at this time, because Voldemort exists. Adam, there would be a full-blown panic at the school.
100%. Harry Potter is covered in blood.
Covered in blood, running through the school. I would literally just start running in the same direction. I would be like, oh, we're running away. Something's coming. Like, there's no way. You're telling me? Everyone's just like, oh, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to go get dinner? Like,
when I worked at Disney World, and I worked at Planet Hollywood specifically, there was a night where something happened at one of the restaurants. I think there was like a fight or something, and like a table was turned over, but people heard a fight and then they heard a loud bang. So they assumed it was a gun. So then people just started saying gun. So then people just started running from the area. And then people saw people running from an area and started also running away. And that is what happens. As someone who witnessed it happen in real time, and I was like, what the f- is going on? That is literally how it works. That is the crowd mindset. It's just like,
yes, exactly. There is no way that I'm believing that everyone was just like, oh, okay. That's weird.
Well, have a good one.
Again, because it is Harry Potter specifically running covered in blood too, and not answering anyone. I would be like, we need to leave. We need to get out. I'm not
going the way he's running from.
My God.
I probably wouldn't run away, but I would just go back to my common room and be like, I think I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
I think I'm just
especially if it was a Hufflepuff common. That's what I would do as well. Yeah. I'd be like, I'm going to go to the common room because I don't know what's going on. And Harry Potter was just running covered in blood. So I think it would just be better to be safe and go back.
I'm going to go back to my little hidey
Get in
hole.
our cozy little, cozy little common room. I feel like the Hufflepuff common room is the best because it just seems so cozy. Yes. Yeah. But we're Hufflepuff, so of course we'd think that. So he switches out the prince's book Harry. Harry switches out the prince's book with Ron's, and then stops by the room of requirement, like walks back and forth saying, I need a place to hide my book, and then hides it in the room of requirement, which has turned into this giant room. Basically, it's like cathedral-esque room.
It's lost and found.
Yeah. But it's been like, it's like a very specific type of version of the room where all these lost belongings have been. And there's like tons of stuff. She like mentions some of it. So there's like tons of books. There's like furniture pieces, bottles, broken bottles, hats, jewels, cloaks. There's like swords that are rusty. And then there's like a giant blood-stained axe.
I would take that with me just to be like, hey, we should get this checked out.
Let's test this for blood. Also, there's like an enormous stuffed troll and a vanishing cabinet.
The one that last book Montague got lost in.
Mm-hmm. So basically, there's a reason this is mentioned. But he doesn't stop by the vanishing cabinet. He stops at a cupboard that like looks like it had acid or something thrown on it. So he grabs like a bust of like a gargoyle, a dusty old wig, and a tarnished tiara, and like sets it all up on top of each other so that he can more easily recognize this place that he's left his book. And then he like sprints back to where Snape is waiting for him in the bathroom.
Because he does need to get the book back. The book that taught him this spell, he does need to get it back for sure.
He needs to keep that book.
Right. He's got it. How else is he going to pass his news?
So then he gives Snape the books. The last book that Snape pulls out is the advanced potion making book. He asks Harry multiple times if this is his copy. He's like, are you absolutely sure? Harry's like, yeah. He's like, you're positive? Yeah. You swear that this is your copy? Yes. And then Snape says, why does it say Runald Waslip in the corner then?
This is the stupidest callback. This is the dumbest callback. This is a reference to the quill. That was that's supposed to auto spell check for you, but it was running out of its charm. It ran out of batteries, so it stopped working.
It's the only way that. Really, I don't know. I don't think we even needed this for Snape to know this isn't the right book.
No,
he can literally occlumense. So
he can occlumense,
he's gonna know.
And we know Harry can't. So,
and then Harry's like, oh, that's my nickname.
And then he's like, your nickname? And he said, yeah, that's what my friends call me.
My friends call me.
Says, I know what a nickname is.
I know really funny. What a nickname is.
Thank you for explaining that.
Thanks.
Understood. Oh, a nickname. Oh, a nickname. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was another word you said. I thought you were saying nickname. Yeah.
I thought you were. Oh, okay. Nickname. I thought you were saying nickname.
I'm sorry. The emphasis was on the wrong syllable. I see. I understand.
Obviously, he knows that Harry's lying.
Big old liar.
Obviously. Mm-hmm. He says that he's going to give Harry detentions until the end of the year. And the first one will be on Saturday at 10 o'clock, the same time as the Quidditch final.
What a happenstance.
And Harry's like, oh, no, because, and Snape's like, oh, no, I'm aware. 10 a.m.
That's
Saturday.
actually why he picked that time, Harry. He's not like, oh, I didn't, really?
You're kidding.
The most anticipated Quidditch event of the year is this coming Saturday at 10 a.m.? Well, I must change the detention time.
I think this might be one of the few times that I'm not surprised this is what Snape is doing, but I do think that there is a lesson to be learned in this situation. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
Especially because, sorry, Harry, there are more important things in life than Quidditch. Like,
Harry, you almost killed Draco Malfoy. I do need to make that abundantly clear. Listen, Draco is a person who was about to Crucio you. I fully agree that was going to happen.
And it's important to include that in the story, 100%.
100%. It was not unearned what necessarily was about to happen in the realm of self-defense. However, you are a wizard with many jinxes under your belt that you could have used. Mm-hmm. And also,
I still don't know why people aren't yelling Silencio up in here. Just Silencio them so they can't say anything.
Right. So you, sir, did not need to go to the bathroom because what were you going to find? Like, Diva, what were you going to find out?
And it's just the main thing of you didn't know what that spell was going to do. Like,
and the other main thing
risk.
Is that you, Harry Potter? Listen to me. You keep forgetting this. You own an invisibility cloak. You could have walked in.
You could have been wearing an invisibility cloak then.
And he wouldn't have known you were there. I don't know why you
opened the door as wide.
Yeah. Hello.
What are you guys talking about?
Hey,
are you?
This is like,
are you
again,
two guys?
When he was like, I'm gonna listen in on Draco and Crabbe and Goyle's conversation during the apparition.
You should have learned the first time.
And he's like, well, I can't help but say my opinion too.
I can't help but show that I'm
the cognitive? What's not connecting? The synapses are not firing for this one.
What's going on here?
Anyway,
this is why
I agree.
We need mental health
he should be given detention for trying to kill Draco Malfoy.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I agree. McGonagall later says you're lucky, like you didn't get expelled, and I agree.
Yeah.
So, to no one's surprise, when they're back in the common room, Hermione's like, I mean, I would say I told you so, but to which Ron cuts her off and is like, just leave it, Hermione. Apparently Pansy went, it's not the time. Yeah. And this is where I will say Hermione, not especially because Harry probably is very clearly like, you know, he's got his comeuppance and it's pretty intense for like where his priorities are in terms of like Quidditch and stuff. So apparently Pansy went to see Malfoy in the hospital wing and then has just vilified Harry to anyone who would listen. This part I'm not so much like for because Pansy, you know, Malfoy was about to do an unforgivable curse, girl. So I don't think we really need to be going around doing this, but all right.
Do you think she knows that?
No. I'm sure he did not tell her that.
Right.
I'm sure that was completely left out.
I'm sure in Draco's story, he's like, I was in the bathroom and Harry Potter I was in the bathroom
being super hot, just having a normal piss like a normal dude.
Yeah.
Not
just
crying.
Pissing away.
Not
spraying it everywhere.
Not crying to that little girl ghost.
No. I didn't even know she was there. She was spying on me because she thinks I'm so hot.
She's spying on me because, you know, I whipped out my little D. And she was trying to get a little peek because, you know, and as we know about Myrtle, that would be able to be believed. She is a little bit. True.
She's a perv.
She's a little bit of a creeper. So I'm sure that was his version to Pansy. He was like, "Oh yeah, just you know,
for sure was like I was washing my hands at the sink and Harry Potter attacked me." That's the version he told everyone.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, crazy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, horrible. But
also, if I was like a random Hufflepuff student who kind of had no stake in this like rivalry that they have.
Yeah.
There is a level that I would be like, I don't know. They're both so obnoxious about this fucking rivalry that literally no one but them cares about. I do believe that Harry Potter would just be like, fuck it, I'm over it.
Yeah. One too many times, bro. Sectumsempra. Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of him just telling Pansy. It was like just a normal bathroom visit, chilling, just going about my business. And then Harry comes out of nowhere, just crazed.
I had my travel pack of dude wipes and I was wiping my tuchus. And all of a sudden.
And then also while Pansy was telling everyone what happened to Malfoy, like all the students, Snape has gone and told all the faculty and staff what happened. Yeah. And McGonagall laid into Harry, which she ain't wrong. Laid into Harry, agreed with Snape's punishment, said he was lucky that he didn't get expelled. And just had no pity for him. So Hermione is still going on about this book and how she's like, I always knew that this was off. And Harry still won't admit that something about this book is not quite right. He's crazy. Like, no, this book has helped us in so many different ways. He's like, I wouldn't have been able to save Ron. What was the other? I can't remember. That's the main one. There's something else.
He was like, I wouldn't be able to have impressed Slughorn to the point that he would give me his
have
memory.
The Felix Felicis to then get the memory, blah, blah, blah.
And you could just try to do better at potions. I mean, that's the literal bare minimum. It's
also, Hermione could have gotten the Felix Felicis, and then y'all still would have been able to use it. But you know what? No, I don't want her to give it to Harry. If she won it, I wouldn't want her to give it to him. I would want her to use it for herself and have a lovely day away from the boys. Yeah. Doing something nice.
Just some lovely gardening or something. I don't know what she does in her spare time.
Go for a little adventure with Crookshanks. Harry is so ashamed of himself and so embarrassed that he can't even make eye contact with Ginny, even though he feels that she's looking at him. He already told her that she'd be playing Seeker and then Dean would be back in as Chaser for this game because he's not going to be able to be a part of it, obviously. Mm-hmm. The team's faces when he told him are apparently still weighing on him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's still avidly defending the prince to Hermione. He's also trying to say well, he wrote it down maybe as a warning, or maybe it had been used on him and that's why he wrote it. I don't think someone would write down for enemies. They would write down
don't
brutal
ever
attack.
Use this. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone used this on me. So Hermione's I got mixed up a little bit. So when Harry's listing off all the good things that he's learned from this book, Hermione's oh yeah, and you're this skill for potions that you didn't deserve. To which Ginny cuts her off and she's like, okay, give it a rest. Give it a rest, Hermione. And Harry and Ron are both very shocked by this because up until this point, these two have always gotten along. So this is the first time that there's a little tiff between them. Mm-hmm. She's like, it sounds like Draco was going to use an unforgivable curse on Harry. So it's good that Harry had that spell on hand. And Hermione's like, well, obviously I'm glad that he didn't get cursed, but I wouldn't say that spell is good. Surely you can't say that spell is good with now where he's ended up and now the Quidditch, now the Quidditch situation is not good. And Ginny's like, oh, don't try and act like you understand Quidditch. You'll just embarrass yourself. And there's this moment where Ron is like,
oh.
He literally just hides behind a book.
Do you buy? Is
it
just
this moment?
Yes.
No, I don't think that Ginny would turn on Hermione this quick. No, I don't.
I don't think so. I think there's an implication that it's Ginny has the hots for Harry, so that's why she's sticking up for him. I think that's mostly what's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But Ginny's also the only person in the book series that's ever been swayed by a thing a book told her to do, to the point that she already once in this book was like, I hear the book is like, you're following instructions, and is like concerned about it. So I listen, I know what she's trying to do, and that's fine. But I just was like, I think it's interesting that Ginny is like not worried about the book anymore, even though I feel like of all the people, Ginny would be like, you need to let the book go. You need to give the book a rest.
Yeah. The only part, I think it could have come off differently if there was a focus more on her being like, give it a rest, Hermione. He thought he could trust the book, like coming from that space of like, I've been fooled before, so I have empathy in this situation, rather than being like, that spell was good, or like, it's good that Harry had that spell. It was that was where I was like, what?
I do wish Hermione was like, okay, but of all the spells in the world, that's the one, like, you use that, like, what?
Yeah.
You know so many spells. You know so many defensive spells. That's actually kind of your whole thing.
Without knowing what it will do at all?
Without knowing what it'll do?
Anyway.
Okay, diva.
So yeah, I didn't buy the bit of Ginny just like turning on Hermione like that. And I don't think it was needed. I think that we still could have had Ginny standing in solidarity with Harry in some way without just completely like dragging Hermione.
Yeah.
It was a little bizarre. But again, she likes to do this. She likes the girls to be catty. It's really bizarre.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, I won't lie. It's a great line when she's like, you'll just embarrass yourself. That's great.
I mean, yeah, she doesn't know about Quidditch. And she is using Quidditch, even though she doesn't know about it, is like just like a tactic of like, and the Quidditch, Ginny.
And also even the Quidditch.
But it's more like how Ginny like snaps so quickly on her. Mm-hmm. And also, the whole thing of like, well, it's good he had that spell. I'm like, I don't think that's the approach. The approach is like, he didn't know, and now he clearly feels bad that this happened.
He clearly feels bad. You don't need to keep rubbing salt in the wound. That's the point. Yeah.
So everyone goes down to the match on Saturday morning while Harry heads to Snape's office for his detention. He basically has Harry copying out like info from these old files, and then he wants Harry to alphabetize them after he's like rewritten the records on like a fresh piece of parchment. I don't know. They end up being.
Why do we need to keep these?
I don't know. These, like, sadly, like these people aren't even alive anymore. Like Lupin,
I know that was my first thought.
Well, everyone thinks Pettigrew's dead. And Lupin's a werewolf that no one cares about, supposedly, in the wizarding world. So why do these records need to be kept?
These records wouldn't even... It's not like they would be like, they went to prison, so now we can be like, and at Hogwarts, you one time...
I guess,
threw ink on the walls of the room. Like, what?
Jinxed another student.
Right. You did normal Hogwarts things.
Yeah. So he ends up the files that he's like sorting through and re-alphabetizing and blah blah. They're just on the Marauders, basically. Specifically James and Sirius the most. And then sometimes sometimes Lupin and Pettigrew are involved in them. So he keeps thinking about the match, obviously, as this is going on. He can't hear or see anything because obviously, as we know, Snape's office is like down in the dungeon area. Yeah.
I do want to say one thing, though. As a person who likes this type of busy work, I would be like, oh, this is so nice. Like, you can just turn your brain off and just be like,
yeah. It's like
my day would...
little...
He's like, the time is moving so slowly. And I would be like, oh my God, this flew by. Are you sure? I can do another box.
I'll keep going.
My punishment would be like, you have to go and watch the Quidditch match. I'd be like,
like, be a spectator, stay engaged, know what's going on. No. Like,
you can't bring your book to the match.
Yeah, no. So also, she makes sure to mention, as he's thinking about the match, that it's going to be Ginny versus Cho. So his ex and his like future lover are both playing secret today.
Okay. You know what? No, you weren't even exes. You didn't date. Like, you kissed once. Shut up.
Yeah. And you were not emotionally available for her, sir.
No.
You proved it time and time again, even though she kept giving you chances.
She was going through grief.
Oh my gosh, that poor girl.
I'm glad she graduates at the end of this book. I hope she like then does like a sabbatical in like a year, and I don't know, like where's Cho from? She's probably Chinese, is my guess. I just like maybe she just like is like, I'm gonna go spend a year in China, and she gets to miss the whole
traveling
war.
Abroad. Oh yeah, let's have that for her. Yeah. Now she's on Bridgerton. Yeah. Gonna find her a real man. So after his detention is done, it's like 1:30 or like getting close to 2. Harry heads back towards the common room instead of going to the Great Hall to find out like what happened. Cause he's like, well, typically everyone either like celebrates or commiserates in the common room together. So, and then when he gets to the portrait hole, he like says the password, like question mark? Yeah. And the fat lady's like, you'll see, without giving anything away. But then as soon as he comes in the door, Ron, everyone's celebrating, everyone's very happy and cheerful. And Ron's like, we won 450 to 140.
So they won by over 300, which means they're in first place.
Yep.
They won the Quidditch Cup.
And then Ginny runs toward him, a blazing hard look in her eyes. Mm-hmm. And she flings her arms around him and he kisses her. That's very cute. I mean, very like confident that like she was into him. I guess the blazing look was what is like
lust. It's lust.
Lusting after him. And then the room goes very quiet. And then like someone like wolf whistles and then people like nervously giggle. Sorry, I want to keep doing it because Adam's face was just like frozen. So I just want to keep going. And then Dean Thomas. Harry sees Dean Thomas holding a shattered glass in his hand. Romilda Vane looks like she might throw something. I was like, oh yeah, Romilda Vane is a person. I forgot.
Yeah, like who cares?
Still has a crush on Harry, apparently. And then Hermione is beaming, but he looks for Ron. Like he just wants to make eye contact with Ron.
I don't know if I'd want to make eye contact with the brother of the girl I just kissed. I'm going to be honest. Even if I wanted the validation, I would like do it at a different time.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know. It is a little, to me, it feels a little bit more like this like weird like permission vibe, which I want to be clear. I get that they're friends.
I understand. I
so
understand.
It is like, it's weird. It's a bit weird. But Ginny is her own person. And she can decide who she wants to be with.
Yeah.
Ron isn't asking Ginny's permission to date Lavender.
No.
Like, anyway. So Harry makes eye contact with Ron. Ron looks like he's been clubbed over the head. And then he gives like a slight jerk of his head as if to say, well, if you must, go ahead. But like, elsewhere.
Snogger again, mate. Outside of this room.
Not where I can see it.
Yeah.
And then Harry turns to Ginny to like lead her out of the common room, to take her for a lovely little stroll around the grounds, where maybe they'll talk about the match if they have time with like whatever else they're going to be doing. Maybe they'll have a little chit chat about the match. And that is the end of the chapter.
You know what? You know when we're not going to talk about Quidditch? Next book. Not a single fucking mention of Quidditch in that book. None
at all. Yeah, that's true.
Well, that wraps up this chapter. Next week, we'll be reading chapter 25, The Seer Overheard.
The Seer Overheard?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what happens.
We have a comment from Spotify. Mariah says, I think the greatness of these books is the strong foundation Joe laid, a magical system and a captivating, believable world, which lets us project some of our own ideals on it. But sadly, her shortcomings show up all the more against that backdrop. She's very binary in an immature way, man, woman, good, evil, and so on. I like fanfic because more mature writers can use the foundation she laid and tell stories I'd rather read in a world I love. I think you guys would love All the Young Dudes. What is that?
Young Dudes?
The Young Dudes. Harry Potter. Archive of Our Own. You know it's good when it's... This is 526,000 words.
The Marauder's Time at Hogwarts.
This is 188 chapters. Here are the relationships. Sirius and Remus.
I'm already in.
We're in.
You had me at Wolfstar. Who else?
It was just Sirius, Remus, and then James and Lily.
Oh, okay.
But then all the other characters are also in here.
I mean, I would love to read how James and Lily ended up together because obviously, like, they hated each other at first. So, enemies to lovers. Classic trope.
He woke up in the dark. It was too hot in the little room they'd put him in, being early August. Though he supposed that could be the fever. He always had a high temperature. Is this from Sirius's point of view? It has to be.
No, Remus's.
Oh, it's Remus's. Yeah. It's from Remus's. Oh, girl, I'm sap. Girl.
I'm sap.
That's probably
We should do it as a bonus content.
Okay, here are the other characters, Ari. Here are the other characters in this series. Remus, Lupin, Sirius Black, James, Lily, Peter, Severus, Minerva, Bellatrix, Narcissa, Albus, Mulciber Sr., which is... I don't know who that is. Horace Slughorn, a character called Mary McDonald, Marlene McKimmon. Girl, are you ready for this? You ready? Who's a character in this series?
Who?
Poppy Pumphrey.
I'm in. I'm so in. Give me the story of Poppy and Minnie. Give it to me.
Yes, the friendship.
You just need to add Pepperoni and Will. Add Willaroni in there, and
add
we're
Willaroni.
Sold.
Yep. Thank you for writing in. We love hearing what you guys think, and obviously recommend.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and hearing your recommendation.
If there is like a good Drary though, that's maybe not 500,000 words, but is maybe like 30,000. Like, send it my way. I might read it in my spare time. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and on Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you will also be attacked via Sectumsempra. Even if it is just an accident.
Even if it is just an accident.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HP Anxious or YouTube and TikTok at The Ampliverse. We are hosted on Spotify for podcasters, so thank you to them and are a proud member of The Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Ari, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as always, Sectumsempra.
No. Crucio.
Levicorpus.